All right, it says that it's being live streamed. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get started. This is magnetism and miracles. And I decided to name it that because I really do believe that, um, I really do believe that projectors are walking, their magnetism and miracles in the flesh. I don't think that that's a common, story or narrative that's being spoken about projectors in the industry. Most people I know talk about projectors as if, there's some, they are always tired, like it's a lot of stuff they can't do and or shouldn't do. And I really have been wanting to change the narrative around what it means to be a projector. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to host this webinar, because I wanted to, have a conversation that was slightly different, um, about projectors. So first, let me introduce myself. If you don't know who I am, my name is Tasha Christie, and I am an energetic marketing coach, a human design expert, copywriter, the star maker. So I'm the person who really helps people to show up powerfully in their space. And human design is one of the tools that I love to use to help clients connect with themselves and figure out how they are designed to show up and express themselves so they can become super well known, influential, and basically internet famous, so they can make the big impact that they want to make, and also, attract all the clients, opportunities, all the things that we desire when we are in business in the online space. And so I just wanted to do that little short introduction. Now, who this is for? This is for you if you are a projector, obviously, or you love projectors. Maybe you work with projectors and you want to just know more about, how to help them market their businesses a little bit more easily. And if you're ready to explode your marketing and impact without burning out, that's one of the things that projectors I know struggle with to at varying degrees. Some projectors have more energy than others. It's a myth that all projectors are always tired. That's not true. It's also for you if you're ready to attract more dream clients and opportunities with ease, if you're ready to increase your visibility and impact, if you're ready to rest in the energy of consistency in your marketing so that you show up while maintaining your equilibrium, and you're ready to embrace the magnetism and magic of being a projector. So if you're kind of tired of the same old story, the same old limiting beliefs around what it's like to be a projector, and how you can actually really show up in your space, then this is the right place for you. You're in the right place. And if you're joining me on Facebook, let me know in the comments, what you're getting out of this. Um, and if you have any questions, just post them in the comments. I'm looking up, let me see, make sure I'm on. Yes, I'm on. So yeah. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the most common mistakes that I see projectors making that keeps them stuck, um, exhausted, and overwhelmed. So the first thing is buying into the limiting story around what it means to be a projector. We've talked about this. When I was introduced to human design in 2019, and when I initially started studying it and, wanting to use it to help clients, one of the stories that I was told or that I read about projectors is that they have in general low energy, and so they can't really do a whole lot of stuff. And to be honest, in the beginning, I really bought into that until I started really working with a lot of different clients. And I noticed amongst projectors, like there's, like I said, a varying range of energy that they have access to, depending on the makeup of your chart. I'm going to get to that later, but a lot of this depends on the makeup of your chart and also how you manage your energy as an individual. So if you know that you're the type of projector who does get tired, during the day, maybe at several points a day, like you work a little while and then you need a break, then you need, you can come back and then whatever, like, you gravitate between working, short stints of working and breaks, then that works for you. There are projectors who have, motor centers who are defined and they have more energy. They can sustain a longer time, of work. Like maybe they can do, 3 to 4 hours of work as opposed to only 1 or 2 before they need a break. So it just depends on the projector. It's a myth that you cannot work for a long-term sustainable amount of time. It also matters how your life is kind of set up. And do you have support in place? I think that's I think that's important for all the types, but in particular for the non-energy types, and projectors are non-energy types in human design, along with manifestors and reflectors. It is important that you have support in place. So if you're in business, that support could look like having a VA. That support could look like, having an intern or somebody that can help you do the small administrative tasks that may drain you of your energy, that you may not enjoy doing. It may include, if you are, if you're a mom, or a partner, like it may include you having somebody to help you with your family responsibilities. Like maybe you have a nanny or, even a babysitter, somebody to come in a couple of times a week, to help you with the kids. Maybe you have a house cleaner, like somebody to really help you out with doing those tasks that, like I said, drain you of your energy. If it's something that you enjoy doing, that's one thing. But a lot of times those tasks, we don't really love doing them. We just are doing them because, that's what we do. So that's something. Another, I think, like limiting story around being a projector is that you cannot show up consistently to market your business. And basically, you're supposed to just sit there, and take naps all day. And then I guess hope, wish, and expect the invitations, the clients, the opportunities to show up through osmosis or whatever. That's also a myth. The thing about being a projector is the way that people really get to know you and can feel you and see you is that you're shining your light. Shining your light means, sharing your expertise, talking about your business, sharing things about yourself that, people may be interested in, like marketing yourself, marketing your business. Like marketing is an absolute requirement to be successful in business. Like there's no way around that. The only thing that you could do is you could outsource your marketing, but I really don't recommend that to people. Unless you're in, I'd say, the 6-7 figure range and you're already, you already have some stuff going, you already are super secure in your messaging. And then you can start outsourcing some of the marketing stuff. But if you're in, say, the first couple of years and you haven't yet hit that level of income, and I do work with 6 and 7 figure people too, but I know I also attract a lot of people who aren't there yet and they're struggling with their marketing, and they want, I've had people tell me that, oh, I'm just going to outsource and I'm going to pay, an agency to do it. And I've seen that, you know, I've seen coaches doing that, you know, who are not necessarily astute, you know, and online marketing, and it kind of flops because the thing that people buy is you. Like, I mean, your offers obviously need to be on point. Your sales and your messaging needs to be on point, but really people are buying you. So if you're like, how do you say it? If you're not in the marketing, then it's not going to work. Because I've seen, you know, where agencies, they create, like, for example, I had a coach friend, a really good friend. She hired a marketing agency because she was like, oh, well, you know, it's online marketing stuff is just not for me. I'm just going to outsource it. And she was paying the agency, you know, like a lot of money every month. And she wasn't getting leads. She wasn't getting, like, she just wasn't growing the way she thought she would. And it was because, I mean, they did not, I don't know if what was wrong with their consultation process, like how they decide whether or not, you know, like what types of marketing to use for people, but the marketing that they chose to use for her just was not a fit. And so, you know, when she went to follow up with the people to try to, you know, get them on the phone or, you know, talk to them or whatever, it just wasn't a fit, you know? Um, yeah, if you aren't in the marketing, it won't work. Your essence and energy won't be there, you know. And I do think there's a way, there are agencies that are really good at taking in people, but the problem also is that if in the beginning you're not super honed in on your messaging, like that's an off piece. And with her, it was an off piece. She was somewhat new, you know, to the niche that she had chosen, and so she wasn't yet secure in the messaging that she was going to use, you know, to represent her brand. And so she hired this marketing agency, and then because she wasn't super secure in her messaging, she wasn't able to convey to them what she actually wanted to say to potential clients. And so that's another thing I'm going to talk a little bit more about later, is really how to get in there and market your business consistently as a projector. Show up regularly and shine your light, because and I'm going to talk about this in a little while, embodying lighthouse energy. That's what I say, you know, for how projectors should show up in the marketplace, is like really being able to shine their light on a consistent basis. Because think about a lighthouse. What does a lighthouse do? A lighthouse shows, you know, and it stands there, you know, it's serene, it's calm, you know, it doesn't do a whole lot of stuff. It just turns on its light when it feels like it, you know, when it's ready to be seen. And then, you know, the people who are attracted to the light, they want to go in there, want to explore the lighthouse, they come. The lighthouse isn't making a whole lot of noise. It's not doing a whole lot of shit, you know, to get attention. It's not. It's standing there in certainty, because it knows that the people who are meant to explore it are going to show up. And then when they're tired, it doesn't want to be bothered anymore, it turns off its light. You know, so then it allows itself to rest and, you know, just rejuvenate and relax and do all those things. And then when it wants to be seen again, it turns on its light again. And then more people show up to come and explore it. So that analogy is, you know, to me is perfect for, you know, a projector who, you know, has, depending on the type, you know, the makeup of your chart, in varying degrees of energy to show up. So if you're a mental projector, you know, where you only have, like, say, your ajna, your head, ajna, and throat center defined, no motor centers defined, then you may have less energy, you know, consistent, sustainable energy to show up all the time than somebody who is a motor projector, you know. And so you will allow, in allowing yourself to embody the lighthouse, you're turning your light on when you feel super inspired, you know. And then when you're not, when you're tired or you don't want to be bothered or, you know, whatever, you turn off the light. You don't have to show up every single day, but and constantly be on, in order to get clients in your business. But there is a way to use the energy that you have while you're inspired to create content during that time, to really, show up during those times where you're lit up and you're inspired to do so. And the energy will last beyond, you actually posting the thing. Like, that's something that I do all the time. Like, I mean, there's still people engaging with content that I posted 2 weeks ago, through nothing. I'm not doing anything. I'm not promoting the content anymore. It's just there, and people are seeing it, and, they're liking it. They're still sharing it. Some people are still commenting. And so that's the type of effect that when you show up in the energy, of being the projector, of being the lighthouse, like your energy will outlast the post. Like, you won't need to keep posting all the time or keep saying me. Like, no, it's not necessary. And so that's that. And then the next common mistake I often see with projectors is relying only on inspiration to show up and create content, particularly sales content, so that your marketing is inconsistent and thus income can be inconsistent. So, like I was talking about earlier, it's a myth that projectors shouldn't or can't consistently market their businesses. What happens is, a lot of times you get these marketing coaches, or you get these business coaches, or human design people, and they tell you, oh, post only when you're inspired. And I am a person, I believe that, consistency is an energy. Like, I say that all the time. And while I firmly believe that, I've come to notice within the last probably couple of months that the need for consistency when it comes to, like, marketing your actual offers, marketing your services, like keeping yourself in front of your audience in terms of being bold about selling. And so what happens a lot of times with projectors is that they're like, oh, today I'm not inspired. So, I was talking to somebody in one of my programs about that yesterday. She was telling me that this week she's just been feeling exhausted, and she really just, hasn't felt the inspiration to show up and say anything. And I was asking her, I said, well, what have you done in terms of selling your programs? Because we may not always want to create content in the flow or, on the fly, because we don't feel like it, right? But you need to have something in place where, you're selling or you're talking about your offers, even when you're not showing up. So, like, what I'm going to get to later in more detail is like batching, micro batching. That's what I call it. Your content, where, you have, 5 to 10 posts, sales posts mostly, where you're talking about your offers and stuff, and they're already written. And so, when you don't feel, inspired, it's still coming out. And I don't pre-schedule stuff. Personally, on social media, I just will go and copy and paste it and format it and do what I need to do in the moment. But the post is already written. And I'm a generator. So, like, I don't necessarily have to do that. I just feel like I just love the fact that, like, I have those things written, and then I can just post it, especially if I'm launching something. And I want to be consistent, like I said, with the sales post, with letting people know that this thing is available for a limited amount of time. And, sometimes during a launch, even generators get tired, and so lately I've been doing that more and more. Is like really batching my sales content. And then the rest of the content, the other content, y'all know I like to post that is engaging and that, really connects with my audience. I post that upon inspiration. When I'm inspired to post, that's when I post those kinds of things. And then in the meantime, I'm not, so that way I'm even me as a generator, I'm not relying on, being inspired to be able to post sales posts, because sometimes, because that's kind of unstable and your energy can be low at certain times, that it may make it hard for you to show up. But you still want to be able to be consistent, because like I said, inconsistency in marketing, sales posts in particular. Okay, Sherry says, I try to get one post out at least 3 days a week. Good. I do rely on, okay, you rely on inspiration. I have wheel heart center defined, so I have a bit more energy. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. But what I find is that if I'm in the middle of a launch, I like to personally post once a day at least about my offer. And then, like I said, the rest of the posts that where I just want to shoot the shit and connect with people, and talk to people, the posts that usually get a ton of engagement, those posts come by inspiration, because it's not, whatever. But yeah, so I just wanted to say that. The next common mistake that I see projectors doing is working too much. They're the projectors who are just overly exhausted, getting burnt out, not really structuring their day, to support them in terms of giving themselves enough rest and relaxation time. And when I say resting and relaxation, that doesn't necessarily mean, it doesn't automatically mean napping, because everybody didn't like to take naps, but relaxation and resting in the middle of the day could be doing a meditation, going for a short walk in nature, because that helps you really air out and clear out your open centers from all the energy and stuff that you've been kind of bringing in. You can also read a book for entertainment, if you enjoy reading, like it's stuff like that that you can do to really give yourself time away from work to kind of clear out, some of the stuff, to really rejuvenate your energy. And yeah, so that's another mistake, is working way too much and not listening to your body when it tells you that it's time to rest. And I find that in particular with motor projectors, because they often feel like they can do all the things, because wheel center is defined, on their root center is defined, and so you feel like, oh, I have the energy, and next thing you know, you're really burnt out. So, I recommend all projectors give yourself a little time, at least a little time during the day, to kind of relax. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a nap. It can be some other activity. It just doesn't require that much effort. It allows you to kind of just chill while you're doing whatever it is you're doing. And so, yeah. And then the next common mistake I see is not preparing for times when their energy is low. So if you're the type of projector who has kind of waves of energy, where you have, days or weeks where you're good, you can do the things, everything is fine, but then it's inevitable that there's going to be a day, or a couple of days, or a week where you're just, your energy is just low for whatever reason, and you're not feeling as inspired. Then, like I said earlier, preparing for those times. So having some content, stored up, written up already, prepared already. Also, repurposing content is important too, and that's important for everybody. Somebody told me yesterday that she didn't, want to repurpose content because she felt like she was repeating herself too much. She was saying the same thing and then it was boring. But when it comes to, in particular, when it comes to your offers and, your sales copy, you can repeat the same stuff over and over and over again. Because people don't, for one, on social media, people don't always see your content. You know, like maybe 7 to 10% of the people on your page see your content on a regular, consistent basis. So you may be thinking, well, I posted this like 10 times already, and this person who is buying the program has only seen it once or twice, you know? And so, because that's what happened with my last launch. One person saw the post that I posted, like that probably was about the 10th sales, at least 10th, if not more, sales posts that I posted about the program. She saw she read the copy, she liked it, she clicked on the link to go to the sales page, and she bought it. She paid in full. Now, if I had been like, oh, well, I'm not going to say this anymore because, you know, I've already said this 10 times already. She's probably, they're getting tired of hearing this. The person might not have seen them, you know, read the words and felt the energy that she needed to, you know, make the purchase. And so that's something to be really mindful of, is doing different things to really prepare your time for times of lower energy. Because as a projector, especially if your motor centers are not defined, you will have those times. And then the last thing I often see is not having a consistent message that shares your unique framework and method of doing things. Excuse me. So oftentimes what I see with projectors is that they are not focused enough in their marketing. Like, you need to have a consistent message that you're saying over and over and over again. It doesn't mean that you can't talk about other things, but when it comes to what you're selling, when it comes to what you do, having a focused and consistent message will help you stay on track, and it will not wear out your energy. You know, most projectors don't have the energy to be all over the place. You may have more, you know, like I said, if you're a mono projector than say somebody who's not, but it still needs to be, you know, focused in terms of, you know, it being your own framework, it being your own way of doing things, because you are here to be a leader. You're here to really, you know, pave the way, so to speak. You're here to guide everybody. So, you know, you having your own unique framework and you talking about that framework in your marketing, you using steps in your framework to break down like what and create what I call micro content around that piece of the framework to show people, you know, what they're missing, you know, in their process and how you can help them, is something that, you know, is really powerful for, in particular, a projector to do. The difference that to me between, like, say, how I would advise a projector and, you know, a generator, is that a generator, and in a manifesting generator to a certain extent, can have like an overall umbrella topic that they talk about, and then little pillars underneath that they kind of circulate through, because we get bored with talking about the same shit over and over. You know, and some projectors have told me that too. They're like, oh, I get bored, I don't want to talk about the same thing. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing over and over. Like I said, you can break down different pieces of your framework and then switch. Like one day you're talking about this piece of the framework, the next day you're talking about this piece of the framework, but it's all like kind of in the same, you know, thing, and it's all kind of sort of focused. Let me read some of these comments. Okay, love the Lighthouse Energy analogy. Yes, it's great. That's why I use it, because it makes so much sense, right? It's easy for me, you know, for a person to understand, okay, well, a lighthouse, because everybody's seen a lighthouse at least once. So they know that, you know, it means that they're kind of just standing there and allowing, like I said, allowing the right people to come, because it's inevitable that they show up. All right, let's see. I only have the top 4 centers to find. Not sure what this means for my energy. I feel like I have the waves of energy. Yes, that means if the top 4 centers, so that's the head, ajna, throat, and G center probably. None of those are motor centers. So it just means that you're not a motor projector, and you can experience waves where you're just not, like, the energy is low. Sherry says, I do this incorrectly. I have jumped all over. I get bored so easily. Okay, yeah, and that's what I was saying, is that, some projectors have told me that they get bored too. And what I say to that is that, you, like I said, you have your framework, your unique expertise, your unique way of doing things, and you can break that down into small micro pieces, and then talk about those small pieces. Because another thing that people don't seem to get is that your content doesn't have to be super long and complicated in order for people to get it. You actually want to keep it simple. You want to make it easily digestible, because people's attention spans are short these days. So, a 10-15 minute live video is better than a 2 hour, thing. I mean, like, for consistent, like, if you want to do a webinar or something like that, that's different. But, like, content that you're putting on social media that people are going to be consuming and on the fly, that doesn't have to be super long and complicated. It can be short. So you can take one piece of your framework, on one, even a small pillar under that one piece, and then create something out of it. And then tomorrow you can take another piece. So, like, what I've done with projector clients in the past is, like, I've just I've helped them to break down their framework, and then take in little pieces and help them to create content from that. Like, especially if they're doing a launch or something like that, so they can know, okay, well, this is what I need to talk about. And that, I would think that if you're talking about the thing that you love to do on a regular basis and little bite-sized pieces, you probably won't get bored, because it's like, it's a different thing. And there's so many stories you can tell around it. You can tell stories depending on, your centers and the makeup of your chart. Like, if your wheel center is defined, for example, telling stories about yourself is super duper. Like, if you notice, like, that's pretty much all I talk about. I talk about clients too every now and then. What stories about myself is what, really draws people in to me. And so you never really run out of stories to tell. Or if you have a defined ajna, in head center, you can talk about concepts around, straight up concepts, teaching concepts around the thing that you do. You'll never get bored with that, because people, always hungry for information. I mean, people like me, because my head center and my ajna centers are open. And so that's it for the mistakes. If you've been listening to this either on here or on Facebook, let me know in the comments or in the chat if any of those, those things, those mistakes, quote unquote, that I talked about, if you've experienced any of those. Or if you want, some coaching around them, or you have some questions around them. Sherry says, can projectors launch? I am only good for a few days. I mean, projectors can launch. It just depends on what you want to do. If you notice yourself getting super bored, I mean, you may want to do something evergreen where people can kind of just come in and you have the container available. You have it available, and then you're just consistently marketing around this thing that you have available evergreen, and then as it fills up, people come in and they're in different spaces. You can pre-record stuff, so the modules and stuff are already there, and you can drip it, and people get the content, and then they show up to the call, and then that, it goes from there. It doesn't have to be, and it can also be a limited time program. Like I was telling somebody in one of my programs that yesterday, um, and she was telling me that she gets tired. Well, she's an MG. She's not a projector, but it's irrelevant. She was telling me that she gets bored after, a couple of weeks of she doesn't want to keep, she doing the same content live. And so, but she said she wanted her program to be evergreen because she was tired of launching it, live launching it. And I told her, I was like, well, you could just have an evergreen program and then let people come in wherever they are, and then you drip the content to them week by week, and then they show up on the coaching calls and you just answer their questions. And that's it. Like, you don't have to do, all the things. You don't have to run a live program and it doesn't have to be super long. It could be like an 8 week, 10 week or 12 week program, and it's evergreen, and people just come in as where they are, and then you just are consistently marketing this, you know. That's definitely something you can do. Let's see. I have head, ajna, throat, spleen, and will center defined. I guess I need to write more stories. Um, yeah, I mean, write more stories, tell more stories. Your throat center is defined. Use your voice as often as possible. I think we talked about this before. Um, your splenic center is, so that means you're really intuitive. You are probably a splenic authority since you're a projector. Spleen uh, is usually overpowering all the other energies. Um, so yeah, like that definitely. Yeah, you're a 2-4 splenic authority. Okay. Yes. So telling the stories. The line 4 is also good for connecting with people. Like, it's very much through your relationships, through your network is where a lot of your opportunities will come from. But the line 2 is like, we need to kind of retreat at times to, give ourselves time to kind of replenish, and that alone time just really makes us come alive again. And so allowing yourself that time to be alone and kind of rejuvenate and enjoy your own company, and then come back, like I said, when you feel called to show back up. And so that, like, kind of vacillating between, I'm being the hermit, but the line 2 is also a natural. And that's what it's called in gene keys. And so there you have a natural ability to do something, and probably several things that other people can't do, and that you may not necessarily even realize that you have a serious talent for. And so using that to your advantage is also good. Let's see. Okay, Teresa says, I have experienced a few of them. I struggle with my energy at times and consistency because of that. So of course, so of course, um, she says her consistency is off. Yes, definitely. Um, definitely. I understand that. That's what I was saying earlier, is be mindful if your energy is kind of like comes in waves, and make sure that you're preparing for the inevitable. Just like for me, I'm an emotional authority. So my emotions I experience them in waves, and I know this now, right? So I kind of sort of prepare for that. Like there are times when I'm even tempered and I'm just chilling. I'm not super duper, emotionally engaged with about anything. And then there are times where, my emotions are super strong. And so I prepare for that. I usually create content when I'm emotionally activated, because that's the content that activates my audience and really gets shared and, liked, and, all the things. Um, and then Sherry says, so a course with maybe 1 or 2 calls a month. I thought of this yesterday. It feels so much better. Yes, that would work. Okay, I don't know how the 4 works. Well, the thing is, when the profile, and I always tell people your major thing, to hone in on when it comes to human design, especially in the beginning, is your type, your strategy, your authority, and your centers. When you get those things down pat, the profile is just who you are. You just have to lean into it. It's not, and just be and respond, according to your strategy. And then you'll naturally, be aligned. You're already aligned for it. You don't have to try to use it. It's just going to be there. It's just going to be inevitable and show up. Now, since the line 2, is in front, then that may be a little bit more prominent. And that's the line that people are usually more aware of. Like I'm a 5-2, right? Even though I've always known that I was, like an introvert and kind of I won't say I'm a hermit, but like I do have times where I don't feel like peopling, so I knew that since I was a child. The line 5 didn't come in until later, but I didn't necessarily really have to try to be a disruptor or to be that. I just, it just came because this is who I am, I thought the right angle cross of explanation was the majority. Well, usually the way the profile works is that the number that's on the left is conscious and the one that's on the right is unconscious. So you may not be, most people are more aware of the 1. So for you, it's 2. They're more aware of that. And that number, that line is also how you have a tendency to see yourself. The line 2 for you is how you see yourself. So of course you understand how to use that because that's how you see yourself. Whereas the line 4 is more so how others see you, and it's unconscious. So you may not be, as aware of that. But like I said before, it's not necessarily for you to try to embody. I mean, it's more so for you to just really lean into, because that's who you already are. Same thing with the gates and the circuits and all of that. Like that stuff, that's just who you are. That's your destiny. It's in your DNA. So it's like to seek to understand it is one thing, but you don't necessarily have to try to be or, fit your life around it or anything like that. It just is, and so that's something that you, it just is, and so, yeah. So yeah, that's it for that. Now I'm going to the next section now. Which is how to rest in the energy of consistency as a projector. In other words, how to be consistent without having to be on every single day. I've already talked about this, but micro batching your content, especially before, if you're going to do a launch, or even if you're doing evergreen, and it's not necessarily a live launch, but you're consistently trying to get people into this, this container. Having sales content in particular, batched in advance, small though. That's why I call it micro. I do not believe in mapping out content 90 days in advance or even 30 days in advance. I say a week to a week and a half at most. Because this allows you, especially with sales content, to be consistent, and you're consistently selling every day. And also be mindful of the fact that sales content does not always get engagement. So do not get discouraged if you're posting this sales content, and then nobody's saying anything. People are reading it. I promise you. People just don't, for whatever reason. Most of the time, you don't get a ton of engagement on that. I find the content that gets the most engagement for me is the connection content. Like either when, I'm telling a personal story, or, I'm making a bold statement, usually I use the color backgrounds for those types of posts, or I'm asking a question that people are interested in, answering. And so that is something that I'm mindful of, and I tell other people too. So if you're you're posting your sales content is good, the copy is good, and people are not engaging in it, that's okay. That's why I create the connection content, so people are engaging. And since I know, the way the algorithm works is it shows your content to the extent that people engage with it. So if you have some posts that get a ton of engagement, then even the posts that aren't getting that much, it's gonna still show to a lot of those people. They just may not say anything, but they're still looking at your stuff. One of the affirmations I say to myself, and I would give to projectors especially, is because a lot of times projectors struggle with feeling ignored, and they feel like they need to do a whole lot of stuff to get attention. And you don't have to do that. Like, remember, you're a lighthouse. So the lighthouse is not there making all kind of noise. It doesn't have propellers. It doesn't have anything on it. It's just, it's just it. It's just what it is. And then it has a beautiful bright light that it turns on that gets the attention, of the people who it is meant, who are meant to come and explore it. So the people who you're meant to serve, when you shine your light, they're going to come. And that's why I say it's like your framework can make up the main part of your messaging to keep it consistent and focused, but you also can then come in and talk about other shit. Like, you're not limited to just talking about your business in your marketing, in your messaging. Your messaging should be really holistic, and it should show your audience who you actually are, because that is what they're buying. Like, I know, we focus on, offers and copy and all this stuff, but really people are buying your energy, because honestly, most of us in this industry are similar. We have similar credentials. We have similar types of offers. We have similar programs. We've all taken the marketing, things that they had back in the day when we first started out. We've all done that. So what, for example, for me, I mean, there are other people who are human design experts. There are other copywriters. There are other marketing coaches. So, people buy from me because they like my energy, and because I show up in consistently as myself. Like, I'm not trying to pretend to be something I'm not. Then, people, they feel the energy and they want that. They're like, oh, I want to work with her. And plus, they know that I'm good at what I do, because at this point, my reputation precedes me, but it wasn't always like that. There was a time in early 2020, 2019, when people, they might have been buying a little bit, but they weren't buying as much as they buy now. And I wasn't as well known then. So, like, I had to kind of, I did things to get my reputation to grow. I let people experience my work without necessarily buying from me. Like, for example, last year, I used to do laser coaching posts like once a week. And I would get over 100 something comments. And I'm not saying you have to do this. That was just, what spirit called me to do. And so a lot of people experience my work. They, I'd read their chart. I'd do a little mini reading, and I'd write the, description, and it would resonate with the people. And so you had a lot of people who experienced my work. And so my reputation started to grow because of that, and also because I've lately, especially, I've been vulnerable in my content. I've been showing my face more, like just doing different things to let people get to know me and really, experience my energy. And they like it. Some people like it, some people don't. And the people who don't like it, then that's okay. They leave my space peacefully and quietly, and it's not a problem. So all that to say, micro batching your content, especially your sales content, is it's helpful. It's not required. Like, if you're one of those people who can on the fly write really good copy, then, and you enjoy doing that, then do it. but I found that micro batching is a good support for me and for some of my clients who've done it, where they kind of know, okay, well, I have this content. And even if you don't write out the content, like I've been helping people map out their content by design, during like for their launches, or to sell their programs. And I would help them, map out, like, okay, this is the stuff you can talk about according to your chart, and then your message can be this, not just according to your chart, but just because, okay, this is what you're trying to convey to your audience, and this is how you can say it. Like I've been helping people with messaging around launching lately, has the stuff I've been doing, kind of ended up doing, and I enjoy doing that. Not necessarily writing the content or helping them write it, but it's like they know, okay, they can see the roadmap of how they're going to get from where they are right now to, people buying their program and the content that they need to create because of that. And so the next thing I say is show up. I've been talking about this, show up embodying lighthouse energy. So I just talked about that. So when you're marketing and messaging, you're shining your light, not only as the expert, in your industry, and the thought leader, and the person who, is an innovator in leading the conversation, but also as a human being. Who are you as a human being? That makes you unique and special from everybody else who's doing the same thing you're doing. And not necessarily feeling like you have to perform that. Because like I said, the lighthouse is just there. It's just who it is. It's confident in who it is. It doesn't feel like it has to do anything extra. It just shows up. And it stands there. And it allows the right people to come and explore it. So that's when you show up in that energy in your content, that is what will outlast, like we'll have people liking your stuff, commenting, sharing it, way after you posted it. And so what'll start to happen is, like I said, I've been having people comment on stuff for 2 weeks. 2-3 weeks. So if over the last 2 or 3 weeks I had decided not to post anything, I would have been fine. There's still engagement on my page. And so because I show up in my energy, I show up according to my design, and my intuition comes through, and my voice is powerful, and I'm allowing myself to be who I am, without trying to pretend to be something else. And so that is what I encourage you to do. That will have your content consistently getting engagement. It'll have it consistently, your page consistently active. So when you post those sales content on those sales posts, people see it, even if they're not buying it, yet, but they're still seeing it. And then the next thing is to use the time that you're inspired to create connection content with your audience. So when you're feeling super inspired to shine your light, as a projector, that's when you create the connection content. The content where you're talking about what's going on in your life, you're talking about the world that's around you, you're, asking questions, like that kind of stuff, is when you create that kind of content that consistently gets engagement. And that is gonna kind of blow your page up. And the thing about engagement, like I've seen over the last, really forever, like posts that disparage, engagement or the need for engagement. And it's not necessarily it's not vanity metrics. A lot of engagement positions you as a leader in your industry. And so if a lot of people are commenting, liking, sharing is super important, because that'll have your audience grow. then, people are going to start to see you as a leader, as a person who's in the forefront, as a person who always has ideas that are innovative and that people are interested in. That's the purpose of engagement. It's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily lead to sales. I mean, for me, it's led to sales. The more my audience grew and the more engaged they became, the more people bought. I mean, that's been my experience. I know there are people out there who have hundreds of thousands of followers and they don't monetize it and nobody's buying from them and they're supposedly broke. I mean, I get that. But for me personally, and for a lot of my clients, the more engagement they started to get, the more people started to buy. And, they became more influential, because the people that I work with ultimately want to become influencers. They want, their message to be heard all over the world. They want to write books. They want to be on stages. They want to start media companies and publishing houses. Like these are the types of people that I want to work with. And they may not be right there right now, but this is what they aspire to, at least, And so that's the reason why I stress the importance of engagement, because if you want to become influential and nobody's seeing you, nobody's engaging with your content, I mean, it's going to be a lot harder, because that's how you grow on social media. The more people see you, like you, comment, they share your stuff, your audience grows. Like that's how it works. And they can work in tandem. Like it doesn't have to be one or the other. Like a lot of times I see that conversation too, is like, conversion content versus connection content. One grows your audience, the other one, like gets you clients. But it can be both. I mean, really, you need both, because obviously we want consistent income and we want our audience to keep growing. We want our influence to keep growing. And both can happen at the same time. Like you don't have to choose to focus on one, and throw the other one away. We need both. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say that. And then lastly, I wanted to say, use your human design authority and come from your defined centers when marketing and creating content. So I'm going to talk about this briefly. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I've talked about human design authority. Your human design authority is basically your decision-making process from the body, because a lot of times we have been taught to make decisions with our heads, and the brain is not like, that's not what it's here for. It's here to do something else, not making serious life-changing decisions. When it comes to content, leaning into your authority will have your content like on and popping. Like, for example, I'm an emotional authority. And like I said before, I create content when I'm emotionally activated. And it doesn't matter what emotion. You can run the gamut from, super happy and excited to pissed off to sad, whatever. But as long as I feel something when I'm creating the content and about the content that I'm creating, then, like it's gonna take off. If you're a spleeting authority and you get in the moment intuitive hits about what to post, listen to your spleen. And, people ask me all the time, they're like, oh, well, if I'm a splenic authority, how am I supposed to, batch content? How am I supposed to produce content? I can only do it on the fly because my the splenic hits come in fast and then they go away. And I'm like, no, you can use the notes app on your phone to create content while your spleen is super lit up. And then what happens is that when you post, that energy will still be there. It's not going to go away. Because like I said, the energy I had when I just posted these things, it hasn't gone away. Like the energy is still there. That's the reason why people are still engaging with it 2 weeks later. So don't worry about, oh, since my authority comes in and then it goes away, do I have to create this content right now? No, you don't. You can create it, but you can create it in another platform and then like a notes app or whatever, and then post it on social media later on when you get the chance. And then as far as your centers are concerned, coming from your definition, when it comes to your marketing, it's a stable, like I said, it's a stable place of energy. And it allows you to be consistent. Again, because it's something that energy will always be there no matter what, and so that's what I've been telling people. I've been telling people that for over a year now. So really look at your definition and really come from those places. And I've done extensive trainings around how to do that, and what each center means on the chart and what types of content you will most likely get more engagement from, and it'll convert to clients depending on which centers are defined and which ones aren't. It doesn't mean that you can't use your open centers. Your open centers are centers of wisdom, and so that's kind of what you sell, because that's where you're wise, that's where your skills are. And so you sell from your open centers and you market from your defined centers. And so, that's something that as a projector, if you're bringing in that lighthouse energy and you're showing up from your definition and your marketing, you're creating content based on what's defined and what's not, and where you have stable energy, then that is what is going to keep the content also it's going to keep it on and popping. It's going to keep people, engaging with it day after day after day after day, sometimes for weeks. And so that's something to be mindful of. And really, really, take into account, because I found it to be a game changer. And I'm not just saying that, just because it sounds good, but I'm saying that because I've used it myself. It's worked for me. And it also has worked for hundreds of clients that I've worked with. And then the last section I'm going to talk about before I get into my offer is how to focus your messaging by centering it around your unique framework and process. So I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it here. So each step in your framework process can be used to create micro content. So you can go deeper into each piece, because as a projector, you want to focus your energy. So it's not necessarily always talking in, briefly, like, how a lot of times in marketing, they teach you that you're supposed to teach the what, and not the how. You're supposed to teach the what and the why and not the how, because the how is what they pay you for. That's what marketing says. But as a projector, you want to focus your energy. So you're not always trying to give people the overall view. I mean, you can, the overall view of everything. What you want to do is go deep, go deep into one piece of your framework on a consistent basis, so people understand, okay, this piece, and they get value from it. I do not believe in creating bullshit free content, that people kind of take and then they're like, oh, this is interesting and I want to buy from her, because they didn't really get much out of it. I have had people come back to work with me after having, experiencing my free content, my free trainings, because they get value from it. And it's as simple as that. They're like, oh, if I get this much value, if I get this much stuff out of the free stuff she does, then shit, like, I can't imagine what it's going to be like to work with her. And so that's what you want people to say about you. You know, you want them to feel like, okay, I experienced something. Now you don't give them the whole kit and caboodle and the whole shift, you know, but you give them enough that so they can experience some sort of shift or transformation, and you know, walk away with some value, whether or not they buy. Because I promise you, those people will return when they're ready. When they're ready to invest in themselves, they will come back to the person who they felt that they got some value from. Um, and so that is what I'm saying, is like, go deeply into the different steps of your process, break them down into chunk sized pieces and create powerful content around that. I mean, you can take one little piece of your framework and create a whole masterclass around that, you know. And it would allow you to go deep into that one piece, and then you can present like, hey, I have all these other steps, this is what else is missing, you know. And so therefore people are gonna feel like they got something out of the thing. Because I mean, haven't you ever attended a webinar and then like they spent 30 minutes talking about themselves and 30 minutes talking about their former clients, like for real, and you felt like you left and you didn't receive anything of value? Like, isn't that frustrating and annoying, because you were excited about it to receive this information and you get there and it's bullshit, you know? And so that's a way that you can create valuable content as a projector without burning yourself out. It's taking small micro pieces of your framework and presenting them to people and going deep, you know, and allowing people to experience a little bit of a transformation. Now, we all know that, you know, transformation, long-term transformation, you need a little bit more than a masterclass or, you know, one session or whatever. No matter how powerful your shit is, like long-term transformation usually takes some time, you know, to really cement and ground in, because we have all of our traumas, all of our conditioning, all of our mindset stuff that we, you know, have, that we're carrying with us, that we need to kind of let go of. So sometimes that takes time. But if you can give people value to where they can at least feel like, oh, let me go try this one piece and then see, you know, if it works for me. And then somebody goes and tries it and they see some difference. I've had people off of my free content, my free trainings, you know, really experience a difference in their engagement, a difference in, you know, how confident they felt in showing up and being more aligned in their marketing. And so they felt like, oh, let me come back and let me get a reading, or let me, you know, purchase an intensive, or, oh, you had this program coming up, let me buy it because I've been watching you and reading for your content for a while and getting a lot of value out of it. And then, you know, like I talked about earlier, share parts of yourself with your audience to build connection and trust. The connection and trust content, like I said, can be in the flow. So when you're feeling inspired and you got something to talk about, you know, even if it seemingly has nothing to do with your business. Because for me, like, I get the most engagement and my audience grows every time I talk about something that seemingly has nothing to do with my business. And so this thing about where we feel like we always have to be talking about our offers, like all day, every day you create 5 posts a day, and then every one of them has to mention your offer or has to have a call to action. That's not true. That is not true. I've created content where it was literally just inspired. And now I've had people show up in my inbox. Ooh, I love your post. You know, I've been watching you for a while. I want to work with you. Or I've been watching you for a while. Love your message. Can you come on my podcast? In the last 3 weeks, I've interviewed at least 4 times for podcasts, or I've been invited as a guest in somebody's mastermind or something like that. That's happened. And I don't pitch at all. I don't send, you know, little pitches to podcast people or media folks or any of the things. I don't do that. People just see me and they hear my message and they feel like it's something that's worthy. They want to bring into and share with their audience just because I am who I am. And this can be the case for you too. Projectors, you can be receiving invitations left and right to come speak. So you can be seen and heard and recognized in your brilliance. It's not that hard. It's not the big, thing that people make it out to be. It really can be, easy and fun, and you can enjoy the process in the journey. And then lastly, the last thing I want to talk about is scheduling when you want to do marketing activities. By marketing activities, I mean posting content. If you do sales calls, like inviting people to sign up for those, going live, doing live trainings like the one that I'm doing today, those types of activities, I recommend once or maybe twice at the most a week. Now, the posting you can do every day, as long as stuff is written, or, or if you're inspired, you want to write something, that's fine. But like the live trainings and stuff like that, like I wouldn't recommend going live every day of the week or doing a 30-day live, extravaganza or something like that as a projector. That would probably exhaust you more than likely. You could try it, I guess, but I wouldn't personally recommend it. I recommend, like I said, once or twice a week, and having that scheduled. People know when you're going to show up, so they can start showing up live and you feel seen, as a projector, because people know you're going to be there. So you make the announcement on a weekly, a couple of times a week, and remind your audience like, hey, I'm going to be live on such and such a date every week at this time. And this week, I'm going to be talking about XYZ, make it some juicy results based, like something they're going to really learn. And then they want to come, and you can either do it in a group, have your own group, or if you do it live on your personal profile or your business page, have some kind of thing where people can sign up. And then they get the replay, because sometimes, Facebook doesn't show our shit to everybody. That's just the way it is. I don't know why, but sometimes that's how it is. And so, people know you're coming, and it becomes consistent. Like there's this she's a brilliant coach. She's a projector. She has this really great active Facebook group, and she goes live every Monday. And the people know that. So in the beginning, when she first started doing that, there was a time period where people weren't showing up, and she was kind of getting discouraged, like, oh, people don't show up. I don't like talking to myself. Da, da, da. But, she kept doing it. And after about a month, to 2 months, people started showing up consistently and leaving comments and asking questions and, all of this stuff. I noticed lately, and she has started to share a lot more with her email list, share the replays with them. You may even make it to where people have to, in order to get access to the replay for more than 48 hours, they have to get on your email list. Like do stuff like that, to where there's a community kind of around your brand, and there are people there just for you. They want to be there. They're looking for you, and they're interested in exploring your light because they're in your group. That's something that I recommend for projectors too, is to have your own small or large community, whether it be an email list, a group on Facebook. If you have a blog, having maybe a community around that, where people are there specifically to see you. So that way, as a projector, you feel seen. Because that's one of the biggest things I find with frustrations, points of bitterness, I would say, because bitterness is your not self emotion as a projector. So if you're feeling bitter, then it's because you have been trying, to force, the attention and the stuff that you want, and the invitations and all this stuff, and it's not happening. Or you've been trying to work your way, into getting all these things to happen for you, and they haven't been working. And so if you're feeling bitter, just like I tell generators and MGs, if you're feeling frustration, it's probably because you're trying to force something, and it's not working, because that's not who you're here to be. You're not designed to force, things to happen. You're here to allow, to lean back, show up in your light, shine your light, and then allow the inevitable invitations to come. And that's why I entitled this webinar Magnetism and Magic, because as a projector, you are naturally magnetic. There's nothing you have to do other than be, and take the actions that are inspired from that being to, have the invitations, have the opportunities, have the clients, have the influence, be able to grow, continue growing and expanding your visibility without, burning yourself out. Like there's nothing you have to do other than be. And each type, has its magnetism, and there are ways to tap into its magnetism. But the projector in particular is just, that's who you are. Because why would the universe make you like that if it was supposed to be hard? It just doesn't make sense. God always wants us to have, what we desire. God wants us to experience abundance. So if it was meant for you to be, a projector, and have the level of energy that you have or don't have or whatever, you still have the opportunity to get all the things that you desire. And the reason why is because you are naturally magnetic. And there's nothing you have to do. Just like I said, the lighthouse stands there, shines its light. People see it and they come, and they want to walk up in it and explore it, and and it's just for being who it is. It's not doing anything special. It's just standing there. And that's all you got to do too. So that's it for the presentation part of the webinar. Is there any questions? Anybody wants to get coaching? I see there's some questions on Facebook. Let's see. Andrea says, this is really clarifying and affirming for the mistakes I've made. I definitely see the need for batching content and breaking things down in my framework. Thank you. Okay. Yay. Yes. Oh, a natural. The number 2, the line 2 is a natural, according to Gene Keys in particular. In human design, the line 2 is called Hermit. But it does say, even in human design, that the line 2 is meant to be called, according to your strategy, whether you be, if you're a projector, then you're meant to be invited into the spaces that are, natural for you, basically. And in Gene Keys, the line 2, pretty much wherever it appears, it's like the natural, the dancer is oftentimes what it's called, because we kind of dance through life. We're naturally, doing our thing. And yeah, that's it. I'm a line 2 as well, but on the other side, I'm a 5-2 and not a 2-5. So yeah, that's it. Does anybody have any questions? If you're on the Zoom, you can unmute yourself if you want to, ask a live question or anything. I'm going to give you a few minutes, or you can put it in the chat. If you're on Facebook, you can also say something. No questions? No comments? Okay. Well, I'm assuming everybody is doing well. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit for a few minutes about the opportunity that I have to continue this work. You're welcome, Teresa, to continue with this work. And it is my program called Lighthouse Energy, Marketing Magic for Projectors. And I am going to offer a special, I guess, discount. I'm going to offer you to get in for until through Sunday. I'm going to offer you the opportunity to get in at what was fast action pricing. If you signed up for this webinar, even if you didn't attend live, I'm going to be sending out the replay later on, and it'll be available, like I said, through Sunday. Lighthouse Energy is an implementation. It's a learning and implementation program where I will help you to really lean into your design and create content. And that is not only going to get you more clients consistently, but also get you more engagement, get you seen, heard, and recognized without all the burnout and the confusion and the craziness and overwhelm that oftentimes you experience as a projector. And so what it is basically it's a masterclass series. That's how it starts off. We're starting on Tuesday, so there'll be a class on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday is a live Q&A session. The masterclass on Tuesday and Thursday will go deep into some of the topics that we talked today and even talked about today, and even some that we didn't really cover, because I only covered some stuff, obviously, because I didn't have like all day to do this. And so it'll be day one. I'll probably dive more into energetics and how to really embody the energy of the lighthouse, how to rest in certainty, how to really rest in the inevitability of your success, and how to really call in more opportunities, invitations, clients, like all the things you really want. And then day two is going to focus on the strategy, the marketing, content creation, like all those things that are going to help you really show up more consistently and more powerfully in your space. So, and then day three, like I said, will be a live Q&A. There'll be an opportunity for you to submit your questions if you can't be there live, so I can answer them on the live. You get access to all the replays in the portal, in the membership portal. And then following that, because I do these masterclass series and I always am curious and wanting to support people more in implementing the things that we learned. And so this time I wanted to follow up on the masterclass series with a 21-day Voxer immersion coaching, integration support and coaching. And also I wanted to do host a live copy lab. So I do content creation copy labs where we come together and you actually bring your content, or you submit your content in advance, and then I review it. I give you feedback based on your chart, based on human design, and also based on my intuition, because I'm super intuitive. And usually I am able to tap into, the messaging that you're supposed to bring up, that your soul is actually asking you to say, to get you the clients, the opportunities, and the notoriety and fame, internet fame and influence that you are, that you desire. And so I wanted to do that, add that to this. So it'll be 90 minutes on Zoom like this. You'll be able to, I may even do something where I have everybody submit their information for their chart, so I can pull your chart, so I can know exactly, who I'm talking to, and the elements of your chart, not just that you're a projector, but also what centers are defined, what's your profile, that kind of stuff, what's your authority. And so it'll be a really involved session. Whoever, I already have some people in it, and I'm really open open to more people joining before Tuesday. Like I said, if you're in this group, if you signed up for this training, then you have access. I'm going to post the link to the Lighthouse Energy, and then I'm going to give you the coupon code that you have available to you to use through Sunday. And it will give you $334 off of the investment. Now, the investment to the public is right now for the group level is $1,111. So $1,111. There's a payment plan available. Or if you sign up at the VIP level, which I only have a couple of spots open for that, that comes with everything at the group level that I just talked about, plus a 90-minute session with me one-on-one and private Voxer access to me for 21 days. And that the investment, is $1,888 paid in full or 2 payments. You have a 2-way payment plan, monthly payment plan. And that is, like I said, you can get $334 off of either, level you choose to be in. And I'm willing to even throw in a one-on-one session, a bonus for anyone who signs up between now and Sunday. I will give you 48 hours to get yourself together, get the money together, or whatever you need to do. But on Sunday, on that bonus and the $334 goes away. So I'm going to put the link in the chat so you have, you can go look at it. And then here is the code, the coupon code. And don't worry, I will be sending this all out in the email following this. And the coupon code to use for that is LHE334. If you are interested in getting, in for, less than what everybody else is going to be paying. And also if you get in, like I said, by Sunday, then you can get a bonus session, one-on-one session with me, regardless of whether you sign up at the, the group level or the VIP. The VIP level, you'll get an extra call. And at the group level, you'll get a bonus call that nobody, with me personally, that nobody else is getting, who signs up, who didn't sign up for this webinar. So yeah, that's it. Are there any questions? Any questions? If not, then I will go. It's been great. Thank you so much to Teresa and Sherry for joining me live on the Zoom. I appreciate you so much for being here and engaging with me and asking me questions and making comments. And thank you so much for the people who joined me on Facebook. I am so grateful. Thank you. Bye.